The kitten had ringworm. The vet had given us some cream to put on the kitten's bald spots. He also had his own cone of shame, as it was very important he didn't lick the cream off. It did seem like some pretty toxic stuff, as we ourselves had to wear gloves before applying it. We had to treat the kitten for 2 weeks. The kitten's cone of shame was a lot smaller than the cat's one. Even so, the kitten was so tiny that once we put it on, it completely took over his whole head. It was made of a plastic-like material instead of the hard plastic the cat had, but we knew it'd still be uncomfortable for him. He was a young kitty cat who just wanted to play, and he couldn't do that easily with a cone on his head. Because of this, we decided we'd let him out during the day, cone and medicine free, and only put the cream on him at night. The first thing we did was to give him a bath. He didn't like this, but if he wanted to play during the day, it had to be done. The second thing was to make sure that the kids and us kept washing our hands thoroughly, as to be honest, I did feel the house to be quite unhygienic now. My husband decided to vacuum and mop the floors. We then set the cage up in the bathroom again. The plan was the kitten would sleep in the cage with the cream and cone on at night. The cat would also be in the bathroom, but she would have free rein to move around. This way, they could see each other while still being separated. A little bit of comfort for the kitten in an otherwise bad situation. After the kitten had dried off, we let him out to play. He did sulk a little. He hated having a bath, but all was soon forgiven. He was a good kitty cat. I went to the shops and bought him a few toys as a treat. He liked them a lot, especially this little bird toy. It had catnip inside, the magic ingredient. He spent ages biting it and kicking it. He seemed to think it was alive, and he'd made his first kill. It was very cute to see. The cat even joined in. They took turns playing with it and even wrestled together. The day went on as usual. The cats played, slept, played, and ate. When it was time for bed, my husband took the kitten to the bathroom. He put his gloves on, then gently put the cone onto the kitten's head. He put the cream on. The kitten didn't like it and mewed quite a bit. The cat heard his mews and came to investigate, even though she was still afraid of my husband. She wanted to know what was going on. She kept her eye on him the whole time he was putting the cream on the kitten. I wonder what she thought about the whole situation. In her eyes, we'd already tortured her with a cone of shame, and now it was the kitten's turn. She looked on in interest at what we were doing, but she didn't interfere. Maybe, deep down, she knew we were just trying to help. When all the kitten's spots were smothered in cream, my husband said goodnight and put him in the cage. He looked terrified and very small. I told him that the cage was only for the night and we'd let him out in the morning. We said goodnight to the cat and we closed the door. The next morning, my husband checked on the kitten and he looked so sad. He must have tried to get the cone of shame off, as the cage was a big mess. There was kitty litter and biscuits everywhere. Wee had been spilt all over the floor and he had spilt his water bowl too. Everything was in disarray. The poor kitten, he was shaking quite badly. We both felt so sorry for him. He must have had a really terrible night. My husband took the cone off and put him down so he could have a drink of water. He wasn't interested as he was still so scared. My husband decided to give him a bath. He tried to get it over and done with as quickly as possible. I'm sure the kitten took the bath as another torture session that he had to endure. We had to get the cream off so he could play in the house, and the only way to get it off was to have a bath. He mewed pitifully and shook the whole time. After his bath, my husband wrapped him up like a little baby to keep him warm. We hoped wrapping him up would stop him shaking. He looked so cute. He was a little burrito kitty with his large big eyes staring out at us. My husband put him on the floor and he immediately ran to the living room and hid under the TV cabinet. There was a little bit of sun here, so it was a good spot for him to dry off. He stayed there quite a long time. He was sulking and I'm sure quite angry with us. I wondered how long it'd be before we'd be forgiven. It seemed we were on this constant cycle of gaining trust, but then something would happen and we'd have to confine them in the cage again. It was like 1 step forward and 2 steps backwards. We were frustrated, but I'm sure they were too. We gave him some space and went on with the rest of our day while he finished sulking. After a while, he decided he wanted to play again. His joy at playing greatly outweighed his need to hold a grudge. What a good kitty cat. This was day 1, but the poor kitten had to endure this torture for the next 2 weeks.